From Naples, Florida, this is the One Extraordinary Marriage Show, where being busy is overdone, romancing is fun, and scheduling sex has taken the guesswork out of wondering when you're going to get some. I'm Tony DeLorenzo, your co-host, along with my beautiful wife, Elisa. From coast to coast and around the world, thank you for joining us. It's time to talk sex, love, and commitment. Give us a call or text us on the HUG hotline at 858-876-5663 or send us an email to hugs@oneextraordinarymarriage.com. In today's episode, we talk about the best marriage advice you would give your younger self.
And there's a quote from Barbara DeAngelis that talks about marriage, and she says, "Marriage is not a noun. It is a verb. It's not something you get, it's something you do. It is the way you love your spouse every day." And I love that active, intentional language that she uses. And I think it resonates so much with what we say here at One Extraordinary Marriage. And, as we're jumping into today's episode, we start every episode with a hug. And a hug is really an opportunity for us to celebrate you and the one family, to celebrate where you're being intentional, where you're asking the questions, what can I do? And then doing something with that answer. And this hug comes from a post that was in Intimacy Mastery that says, "The group recently discussed a 60-second kissing challenge, which we did not do. But in trying to understand my husband's desire and connection to kissing, I simply asked him to explain the why behind his desire to kiss me and his passion in doing so, because I'm not a kisser. In being willing to listen, to learn, and him being willing to be transparent, I came to a clearer understanding. Not sure why it took us so long to dive deep with this conversation, but we're so glad we did, as the awareness of his desire created a desire within me. Our kissing has improved, it feels more sensual, and I often think of the why and want to fulfill it. Focusing on the what can I do is a game changer when it's applied. I don't always get it right, but when I do, I declare a win."
Oh, I love it. This is really good because I think kissing is one of those things where we can get a little like, it's for me, it's not for me in the marriage, right? I mean, we've talked about it here. I mean, we've done episodes on kissing. Absolutely. Here. I like it. I enjoy it. Elisa, not so much. And having to navigate that, and what does that look like? And, marriages, like Barbara DeAngelis said, marriage is not a noun, it's a verb. It's action. There's action behind it. And each of us need to actively engage in that to have an extraordinary marriage.
So as Tony said, at the top of this episode, we're talking about the best marriage advice that you would give your younger self. And over Memorial Day, we had the opportunity to be at a get-together with two other couples, and one approaching 30 years of marriage, and just like Tony and I. And then the other couple had just recently gotten married earlier this year, and we're talking to these newlyweds, and they were sharing that one of their wedding presents was a marriage retreat at WindShape. And for those of you that don't know, WindShape is actually a Christian nonprofit that was founded by the Chick-fil-A family, S. Truett Cathy and his wife. And so they put on not just marriage, but all kinds of retreats.
Oh, yeah. We've never been. We've heard of them. And those who have gone said it is top notch. So yes. We were just so floored that this was their wedding gift that they received from somebody. I was like, my goodness, that's awesome.
I love it. And, as they were talking, we were asking when are you going to go? And so they're, sharing, we can't go this year, but we're going to be able to make it happen next year. And then they said something really special. And I love the way they phrase it. Well, next year we'll have a little bit more married life together. And so there'll probably be more for us to actually talk about when we go. And I thought, well, yeah, actually there is some truth to that, because there's a lot that happens in that first year of marriage as you're navigating and adjusting and doing all the things. And so here we are, we're having this conversation on Memorial Day. We're heading into June. So I'm thinking about wedding season, and really just started thinking, it was the two of them were talking with us, like, about the wedding advice, right? Like, what have you heard? What are you told? Like, what does that look like? And, I think it's one of those things too, where
marriage advice.
That's what I said.
Okay, sorry.
What did you think I said?
I thought you said wedding advice.
Oh, well, if I did say wedding advice, I meant marriage advice. And you guys know we don't edit our episodes. So whatever that was, what I said, it was supposed to be marriage advice. And in doing so, not just like what we might have heard from other people, but those of us that have been married more than a day, what would you say to your younger self? Right? What would you say with the gift of time and experience and that type of thing? Because I will tell you, I don't remember. I mean, Tony and I got married in 1996. So for those of you that are doing your math, yes, we're coming up on 29 years. I don't remember getting any marriage advice from anyone.
I don't either. And maybe it's part of the family dynamic. We were the firstborns on both sides. Neither of our fathers were much into, like, well, you're
much into what? Like, I'm waiting for you to finish that sentence.
Well, like on my side, my father wasn't an educated man. I mean, he was a blue collar worker. I mean, Dad didn't read books. I mean, Dad read comics.
Right.
You know what I mean? He wasn't a profound individual who would sit down and at times in my life ever give me any type of advice, typically. You know what I'm saying? So to come to our wedding day and to the start of our marriage to expect some profound words of wisdom from my dad wasn't really like something expected. But even those around us or others, I don't remember anything.
Right. Well, and
other than the dumb stuff that you always hear, like, oh, the old ball and chain and all that sort of.
Don't go to bed angry.
Right. Like, yeah, some of the very cliche stuff you would hear, and maybe those were from like friends or other folks that you worked with or things like that. Better than that, I'm like, there was nothing.
Well, and I also think back, going almost 30 years, like we didn't have podcasts and we didn't have TikTok and we didn't have, Snapchat and Instagram and Facebook and all of these different places. We weren't carrying cell phones in our pocket at that point in time.
Connection to even friends was vastly different than what we see with our children and how they connect with one another and amongst many people.
Funny story. One of our young adults from California, she is dating a young man, and he actually sent her one of our reels. Not knowing that she knew who we were and that she knew us, like all of this kind of stuff. And so she sends it to me. She goes, "This was a pretty funny reel to get for my boyfriend." And I'm like, I love it. But I look at that too, and here are some 20-somethings, 30-somethings who are sharing our content and getting advice before they ever get married. Mm-hmm. We did not have that.
None.
Right? So I went to the one family and I said, okay, like, what would you all say to your younger selves? Mm-hmm. Right. The question was, and I asked this in a couple different places, and thinking back to your newlywed self, what is one piece of advice that you would give to create an extraordinary or strong marriage? On Instagram, I had to use strong because extraordinary just takes up too many characters. And here's what you all shared. Focus on building strong communication. Have regular check-ins.
I like that one.
Pray. Never go to bed upset/angry. Although I just feel like the coach in me has to say that sometimes you all get yourselves so worked up late at night that you're not going to have a good conversation and you might actually need some sleep.
So it's okay to go bed angry.
In order to regroup and focus on it the next day.
You'll survive. And that's from a couple who's done it many a times and talking to many, many other couples who have heard that as well and determined that, you know what, at 1 a.m. or 2 a.m., it's time to go to bed because nothing good is happening at this point in time. And I would say nothing good after 10 p.m.
I actually bring it back for most of my coaching clients to 8 or 9.
All right. Well, there you go.
But there you go. Be more self-aware. Work on yourself before trying to change your spouse. Keep God first. Really listen to one another.
I like that one because it's really interesting when you learn from a lot of those who are in the communication space. And you just hear what they say a lot of the times is most of the time we're listening and we're not even really listening. We're formulating our response before we actually even listen to the person who's talking to us. Mm-hmm. And so to actually really listen to one another is a skill development. I mean, and I think it's great marriage advice.
Flirt. Communicate your feelings.
Or emotions.
Find mentors right away.
I do like that one. I think that's been more in the last decade or so. Like that's come up more in the last decade or so, like just even from us having started the One Extraordinary Marriage show 15 years ago. I feel like that one has sort of come up more and more over the years. And I love it, and I think it's something that's important.
Absolutely. Prioritize sex, even in busy seasons.
Intimacy lifestyle. Yep.
Pause before reacting. Ooh, take a breath. Take a breath. Be patient. Have the uncomfortable conversations.
Here's something I want to say, though, too. Even when it's like pause before reacting, be patient. And I just want to speak to those of us just right now who are older than and been married longer than a day or a year or two. You know, we remember a time when the only place we got information was from our TV and a newspaper, or maybe some magazines that came in once a month or,
Sure.
bi-monthly. And so I would say if you're finding yourself reacting without being able to pause, unable to be patient, things of that nature, it may be time to look at where you're getting information. And I only say that because I find myself having to check myself. Because what am I getting? What's coming in? And if I find myself being more tense, less patient with Elisa, more just like quick to respond, what am I looking at? And so I'll start watching like comedians because it makes me laugh instead of getting frustrated.
It's either comedians or you can pretty much guarantee if Tony's just checking out and just changing his mindset, it's either going to be a comedian or it's going to be America's Got Talent or Britain's Got Talent. And I can even tell you,
and I will say, I'm not an AGT guy. Like, I will not sit in front of the TV and watch AGT, but I will watch the clips and the videos of these amazing individuals. And it does, man. It changes how you see life. And like the gumptions to get up there, 14, 15, younger. Man, I'm in tears. And if I can have that compassion for something I'm watching, then I can have that compassion towards my wife. But again, what's your consumption? That's just this is a little side note to everything else we're talking about here. Let's move on.
Keep creating your vision together. Prioritize your marriage, especially after having kids.
Yeah.
Share your expectations. Take time and money for special trips or dates.
And I just want to say something there. Sorry. It's just I got these little
tidbits
I
love it. I love it.
Put in.
People love hearing your comments.
Time. It's precious. We don't know when the good Lord's going to call us home. And so do not think we have forever. And that's for time. For money, you don't have to have lots to strengthen your recreational intimacy pillar. You can, and it changes those experiences. And yet I will tell you, when Elise and I had nothing, I think I had some of the most fun, most engaging activities because we had to figure things out. And so just think of those two because it matters.
Well, and you can't use them as excuses.
And you can't.
Right.
True.
Take the word divorce out of your vocabulary. Advice to younger selves. And don't ignore your needs. And, I read through this list and, all of these comments coming in from different places because I asked the question in a number of different places and both on Instagram and in Intimacy Mastery. And, I started realizing, I'm like, why are we just giving the advice to our younger selves? What does it actually look like to go, hold up, I'm going to do something with it. I'm not just going to tell a couple getting married or a couple that just recently got married, like the sweet couple that we spent some time with on Memorial Day. Like, what happens if we start looking at that list, or maybe the two of you make your own list and say, well, how are we going to live this out? So it's not just advice, but it's actual practical application in our lives right now. We're going to talk about that after this break. Dry skin, deeper wrinkles, crepiness. These are just a few of the visible signs of aging, something today's sponsor, OneSkin, knows all about. And it's something that I'm concerned about a whole lot more since we moved to Florida and I spend more time in the sun. I absolutely love my tinted OS1 Face SPF. I wear it instead of foundation, and not only do I look great, but my face is protected because it blocks the UV rays, neutralizes free radicals, and reduces the effects of past aging. In short, my skin looks like I'm wearing makeup and I'm protected from the Florida sun. Something we all need to think about with summer approaching. OneSkin is the world's first longevity company. By focusing on the cellular aspects of aging, OneSkin keeps your skin looking and acting younger for longer. Get started today with 15% off using code OEM at oneskin.co. That's 15% off oneskin.co with code OEM. After you purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about them. Please support this show and tell them we sent you. Invest in the health and longevity of your skin with OneSkin. Your future self will thank you.
Mochi Health is a long-term weight loss solution personalized to fit your unique needs and goals. Meet one-on-one with board-certified obesity doctors and registered dietitians who are on a mission to listen. Eligible patients can access custom-formulated GLP-1 medications at an affordable, set price and get them delivered to their home each month. No insurance required. FSA and HSA accepted. With 24/7 customer service available, Mochi Health is here to partner with you on your journey to a healthier life. Take the free quiz at joinmochi.com and use code AUDIO40 at checkout for $40 off your first month of membership. That's joinmochi.com.
We're back, and we're talking about how to use the best marriage advice you've been given in your marriage right now.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And, just looking at a lot of those comments that came in, and saying, okay, well, what does this really boil down to? And I would encourage the two of you this week to really, maybe even sit down and write your best, the advice that you would give to your younger selves, right? Just do that and see what pops up, because there might be areas where you can take action on that and start implementing this in your marriage. But if I have to boil down what we heard from the one family, first one is, have those regular check-ins, right? Schedule time. We call it the coffee break. If you're brand new to the one family, you wouldn't have heard that term before. If you've been around for a while, you know what we're talking about, but it's taking that 30, 45 minutes a week and you're having a conversation about your relationship, not just about the logistics. You'll do that, 7 days a week anyhow, but it's getting into this place of saying, hey, how are we? What's going on between the two of us? What are those expectations? What are the feelings that maybe I've been holding on to? What are the concerns that maybe have boiled up over this last week and we haven't really had time to talk about it because we've been so busy and I don't want to start something at 10 o'clock at night. And here's our time to do it. And I'm going to tell you, put it on your calendar, because we all know how busy we are and the busyness doesn't change. It just ebbs and flows. But if it's not on your calendar, it's not going to happen, right? We know. Personally, if it's not on our calendar, it doesn't happen.
Yeah. And we have a brand new coffee break, and it's part of our 6 Pillars of Intimacy monthly planner. So I'm going to put a link here into the episode notes and everything for you guys, because not only is it the monthly planner, and that's what we started, or the coffee break, we started with that many, many years ago.
Before there was ever 6 pillars, before there was a monthly planner.
Right. And so with the 6 pillars, we revamped that, and then we included in the monthly planner for the purpose of everything's there for you. So if you do take 30 minutes or 45 minutes or whatever it may be, everything's right there in your planner for you. And I know for a lot of you, that matters because it can be taken from that. It's paper, it's hardcover. I'm going to put the link. You can get it on Amazon, and you can take that and then transfer it to your digital calendars if you need. But grab that for those of you who want to get started with your monthly planner. It will keep you on track.
Another thing that the two of you can do is find and connect with marriage mentors. And I find myself saying this a lot to couples all across the spectrum when they're coming to me for coaching. I'll often say, well, who do you guys talk to about your marriage? Who do you look up to? Who are those people that maybe have, 5 more years of marriage than you do, or 50 more years of marriage than you do, that can actually speak into what's going on? Because we can get so narrowly focused just on what's happening to us and not realize that in 20 years, we might not remember the fight that we had last Tuesday, or in 30 years that, hiccup in our financial intimacy was just that. It was a hiccup. It wasn't the end of the world the way it feels like when it's first happening. And reach out to people. People aren't going to know that you want them to mentor you simply because you are sitting next to them in the coffee shop or next to them at church. Like, you're going to have to open your mouth and actually say something and be consistent with it. You might have heard us say once or twice on this show to be intentional and take action. That is true when it comes to finding those marriage marriage mentors. And I will say, if they're not in your local world, because I know from talking to people in the one family, that may not be the case. Jump into Intimacy Mastery with us. I will tell you, there are couples in there that have been married, like 5 years all the way up to 50 years. It's not just Tony and I. It is collective wisdom where you're making these relationships with people. And then, you might get to see them on the cruise or a One Extraordinary Marriage event, or, when we're in your local area, which is awesome when everybody gets together. But you also have these friendships that have formed with other people that are excited to do marriage well.
Yeah. Within Intimacy Mastery, it's a way, one, that you can support us here at One Extraordinary Marriage, so we can continue to bring this amazing marriage resources to you. But more importantly, it's about you. More importantly, it's about you being resource. It's about you taking the 6 pillars of intimacy and putting them into action. And in there are tons of resources that you can use depending on what you need in your life. And there are those who are talking and sharing and encouraging, which I think a lot of us need in our marriages because we don't get it anywhere else.
So true. And, you talk about the 6 pillars, and I think that's the next thing that, really synthesizing all of that information on advice is, creating that shared vision together, right? Sitting down and writing out, like, what are your dreams and goals for the next 1, 5, 10 years? What is it that you want to think about when it comes to travel or maybe family goals? And essentially it's looking at all 6 of the pillars and saying, okay, how do we want to grow in this area? What does this look like if these were stronger, right? Not that they're necessarily all like cracked and crumbled and all that kind of stuff, but hey, from where we are today, what would it look like if we got consistent about it? And one of the things with, creating that shared vision, and I will tell you, when I wrote the book, The 6 Pillars of Intimacy, when God gave me that download, I did not think about the fact that 6 is actually doubled twice in a calendar year to make 12 months. That wasn't intentional, but it's the way it worked out, right? So you could, with that shared vision, go, hey, every year we're going to focus on each one of the 6 pillars twice, with the purpose of leveling them up and hitting all of those pieces of advice and going after those specific areas, right? To really create the extra. Because here's one of the things I want to say. Why do we give people advice? Right? We give people advice because we want to see them succeed. We want to see them maybe not make the same mistakes. I mean, if you're a parent, you've done this, right? Why do you give your kids advice? Because you've got a vision of where they might stub their toe, where they might make a mistake, and you don't want to see them.
That's good.
You don't want to see them make the same mistakes maybe that you did. Well, take this collective wisdom from the one family, all of these things that they said, and say, okay, well, if they're seeing this and they're telling me this, then let me go do something with it. Right? Let me implement this into my life. Let me look at the 6 pillars and say, hey, babe, here we are. It's 2025. We're actually halfway through. This episode is first releasing in June. We're halfway through. What are the next 6 months going to look like? What's that vision? How are we going to prioritize our marriage, whether it's with coffee dates or even, regular dates, right? Like, again, please spend fun time together. But stepping into this place where advice is not just hot air, right? If you've got a teenager, you know exactly what I'm talking about, where they look at they hear your advice, they roll their eyes. Don't roll your eyes at this episode. Step into a place where the two of you are thinking about, hey, what's the advice we to give somebody else? And then don't just give it to somebody else. Implement it if you're not already doing so in your marriage. Or pick one of these other comments that somebody from the one family made that you heard in today's episode and say, how are we going to level up by doing that?
Yeah. Marriage advice, if you got it when you were younger, when you were first married, or you got it later at different times in this journey that we call marriage, it's awesome. And yet, as Elisa said, if we don't implement, if we don't take action around it, then what are we doing with it? And hey, I'm not saying Elisa and I have taken everything that's been given our way and done it. There's been some grand ideas that have been given to us and to me individually. I'm not saying I've done it all. I'm just saying there are times, though, when you need to look at yourself in the mirror and go, all right, I got some advice, what I can do to make a difference, to make a change in my marriage. Am I willing to do it? And I'd say this week is that week to look through these things and go, what are we going to do? Like, we have the opportunity to have an extraordinary marriage. Are we going to go jump on and go do it? Or are we going to sit on the sidelines and hope somebody else will do it for us?
Wow.
I'll tell you, nobody's going to do it for you. Unfortunately, they got their own lives. They got their own things going on. And so you need to step into the game, make it happen. Jump into intimacy mastery. We'd love to see you there. We'd love to cheer you on and encourage you in this marriage journey you're on. You guys have yourselves a fantastic week. We'll catch you next week. Love you guys. Thank you for listening to the One Extraordinary Marriage Show. If you love this podcast, please leave a review on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you are listening. Your review helps others find the show and know that it's the right fit for them and their marriage.